Friday night. The week is over. I've been doing a little bit of rearranging in here, so I've got some crap lying around. Wasn't too bad today. I had a couple of kids chime in and engage during the day. It was a horrible day weather-wise. It was rainy. I went outside at one point to play with the little one who's down here again. We got probably got about 10 minutes out there, and it was sort of light spitting at that point, and it got heavier later. Yesterday's cases recorded today. 136 new cases in Sydney. 53, I believe, were out in the community while infectious. And they said they're noticing that somebody catches it, they go home, everybody in their household catches it. If they work in a small workplace, everybody in the workplace catches it. It's just spreading. And because of numbers like that Fairfield, Liverpool, Canterbury, Bankstown area, they're still down on tighter lockdown. You're not allowed to leave that local government area or enter it. And they've added Cumberland and Blacktown local government area. Now my school, smack dab in the middle of the Blacktown local government area. So that means that whole area has been put onto an even tighter set of restrictions. And as for schools, the government is telling parents, keep your kids home unless it's absolutely not possible. And teachers, stay at home and work from home unless it's absolutely not possible. Schools, maximum of 5 staff total, and that includes an office staff. So you're looking at one person in the office, a senior exec, 2 staff to try and supervise any students who are there, and the general assistant. That's basically what you're allowed to have on site. And if you try and have more than that, you've got to discuss it with your director. Definitely no senior classes going on at schools now. We did get an earlier than expected announcement from NASA, and it was probably because of these numbers being announced earlier today and the lockdown, tight lockdowns. They're extending due dates for projects and musical performances and drama and that sort of thing. So whereas the kids' projects were technically going to be due next Thursday, no, this is only week 2. It feels like we're in here forever. Technically, the projects were going to be due Thursday of week 4. They're now due 4 weeks later. I think the date's the 2nd of September. So that's good news for the kids, unless this drags out and we end up being locked down the way that some people are predicting that we're going to be locked down right through August. Like, we're currently locked down to the end of July, and there's been people saying if this doesn't slow down, if people don't stop going out and spreading it, then there was another death overnight as well of somebody, but they didn't give too many details because they wanted to make sure the families knew, because it was just before the news conference apparently. One thing I've got to say, and some people have said this about, like some media commentators have been attacking the government. First of all, they attack the government for not locking down sooner. Then they attack the government for locking down so strictly. And you can't tell people to stay home. You're trying to be a little Hitler, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. Trying to be a dictator. I know that other countries, like the US, is opened up, and they've got cases in every state of COVID, of this new variant. In the UK, is getting ready to open up fully, and they're starting to get more cases, and they're getting something like 1,000, 1,200 cases a day in the UK. We're getting just over 100. Our population's a lot smaller, so by comparison, by percentages, yeah, anyway, we did the same thing last year where we locked down, and we were locked down for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 weeks was the strictest part of the lockdown, and then it was like slow. They before they opened up everywhere else, they opened schools up, which is what has me worried about this time. But I think because this one's so much more contagious and transmissible, I mean, they've said anybody on school grounds has to wear their mask outdoors as well, not just indoors. But after we had our lockdown and then the cases sort of dropped and we started to open up, we went for months without any cases at all. There were no new cases for months, which is why we had essentially opened up. Like, I'd started not wearing the mask and when I was outdoors and that sort of stuff. I could have probably left it off in the workshops and the classrooms and that sort of thing. Us locking down, and they said the same thing about the government back then too, like, you're being too hard, you're being little dictators. If you start locking down like this, and if they start taking away your privileges, you'll never get them back. But we did lock down hard, and we've locked down hard again this time. I think there's a little bit of too much leeway in some places. Like, there's cases out in Central West now, but they keep having little grey areas with regard to exercise, and they're saying, like, you need to not have anybody come over to your house. You need to not mix with anybody who's not part of your house. And then they go, when you go out to exercise, only with people from your house, or if you're on your own, one other person, as long as you're social distancing and being careful. Boom, there's this mistake there. And they were allowing, like, saying, oh yeah, you can go and get a takeaway coffee, and they said there was cases of people all meeting up for the coffee, hanging around, and that's where some of the cases are coming from. So 2 weeks down of remote learning, one more that we know of, but I'm pretty sure they're going to make an announcement earlier next week about how long this is going to be stretching out. And the chief health officer, she made a statement today which scares me, and that was that she's keen to have kids back in school. They're keen to, the kids need to be in school. They need to be learning face to face. But at the same time, this time around, the Department of Ed has been much stricter with the way that schools are being closed down. Because last time, when they were technically closed but still had staff there for kids, there was a number of staff, there was social distancing, masks weren't required by kids, they said masks weren't required by adults, staff. And now, this time, because they've realised kids can catch it now, especially this variant, anybody on school site must have a mask on, student or teacher or any other staff member, and the mask needs to be on at all times, indoors or outdoors, playground duties, that sort of stuff. So I haven't checked the weather, but I'm hoping we've got good weather for the next, like over the weekend. I might be able to get stuff done. You'd think I'd be able to get some stuff done while we're working from home, but you actually need to stay in here in case the kids actually come online. I'll have to get some more tidying up in here done because I really got into it yesterday when the power went out and I was in here until I lost light, and our light came back on 5:45. It's already dark here at that time. And just rearranging stuff so I can have a bit of a different movability in here, and also going through and cleaning out some stuff, chucking out some things I just got lying around that I really don't need to keep lying around. There's a lot more too, but at least if I've made a start, we'll get somewhere.